What's going on, everybody? Back at it with another mock draft here, and today's mock draft is going to have trades, and I think a lot of these trades are going to be really cool. I tried to pull off some crazy ones, but I just didn't think that they were going to happen, but I still think this is going to be really fun. I think it's going to be a cool mock draft, and I got the whole all 58 picks are going to be in this draft. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Hopefully this video doesn't go too long. I'm going to try to keep it under 20 minutes. Let's get right into it. The Atlanta Magic won the draft lottery, so they get the number 1 overall pick. And with the number 1 overall pick, the Atlanta Magic are going to take Paolo Banchero, the forward out of Duke. He's a 6'10 guy with amazing ball skills. There's no one else like him in the class with the offensive ability and the offensive upside that he has. I know the consensus is going to have Jabari Smith here, but I just think the offense that Paolo provides, nobody else on the Magic has that, and he's just really going to help skyrocket this team's offensive abilities on that side of the ball. His defense needs work, but the Magic are such a good defensive team with a lot of good defensive players that it's just not going to matter that much, and he's a great player here at number 1 for the Magic. Up next are the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I have them taking Chet Holmgren, the forward center out of Gonzaga. He's a very tall 7-footer. He can block any shot he wants in any vicinity near him. He's a great guy with great upside, and there's honestly no better place for him to go than OKC, who has almost no centers on the roster. He's going to fit in very well here. Picking third are the Houston Rockets, and I have them taking Jabari Smith Jr. out of Auburn. He's almost a no-brainer at this point. The defense and the offense, it doesn't really matter. He's the 3rd best player in the draft. The Rockets have the easiest job in just drafting one of the top 3 guys that falls to them, and this is the guy that falls to them. We have our first trade to announce. The Oklahoma City Thunder are trading away Lute Dort, Derek Favors, the 12th overall pick, and the 34th overall pick to move up in the draft and get the 4th overall pick and get some more trade value with Richaun Holmes. This is a great pick for both sides, that OKC gets to use their current draft capital to move up in the draft for a more valuable player, while Sacramento is already in a tough spot and they can trade back, get a more easy pick, and also get some win-now players in return to hopefully end this playoff drought. Now this puts the OKC Thunder back on the clock, and with this pick, they're going to select Sharpe 4th overall. Sharpe, though we didn't get to see much of him, I saw Jaylen Brown play in the finals. Sharpe has the athleticism and the shooting upside to be a player just like Jaylen Brown, and it will work very well with SGA and Giddey. He's a very good fit in OKC, and with Holmgren, we got 2 really good, bright future players for OKC. After our first trade of the day, this puts the Detroit Pistons on the clock, and with this pick, I have them taking Jaden Ivey 5th overall, the guard out of Purdue. Thinking of an Ivey-Cunningham backcourt just makes me really horny. This would be so much fun to watch, and honestly make the Detroit Pistons one of my more favorite teams in basketball. Ivey's offensive skill set is unlike any other guards in this class, but his defense leaves something to be desired. However, I think he can refine that in the NBA, and hopefully it works out. Him and Cade will be so good next to each other. It's just a great pick for Detroit. Next up with the 6th pick, the Indiana Pacers are up. They're going to select Keegan Murray out of Iowa. I'm not the biggest fan of the selection, but it makes the most sense, especially for a team like the Pacers, who kind of likes to draft their more experienced guys. Keegan Murray will just fill in a really good role for Domantas Sabonis. I don't think his ceiling is very high, but he's going to fill in that Domantas Sabonis role and just kind of be a good player for the Pacers. And I don't know if he's a really good part for their rebuild, but he's going to be a good player moving forward. I think he has a long career in the NBA as long as his shooting stroke doesn't go cold like it did in the NCAA tournament game. We already have our second trade of the draft, and this one's between Detroit and Portland. Portland's going to get Jeremy Grant and Killian Hayes in return for Eric Bledsoe, Justice Winslow, Keon Johnson, and the 7th overall pick. Jeremy Grant and Killian Hayes are 2 great players. However, Jeremy Grant's a much better player and will be a good starter for Portland, and will show Damian Lillard that they are ready to build around him and continue to strive for a championship, while Killian Hayes will be a solid backup point guard for Portland. Detroit's going to get Eric Bledsoe, Justice Winslow, and Keon Johnson. Those 3 players have very little value and are just there for salary filler. The 7th overall pick is the true prize in this trade package, and with this 7th overall pick, I have the Detroit Pistons selecting Jalen Duren out of Memphis. He's a great pick and roll partner for either Jaden Ivey or Cade Cunningham, and he's probably going to start over Isaiah Stewart after a little while. He's going to take some feel because he's very young, one of the youngest guys in the draft actually, being only 18 years old. But he's going to be a great pick here, and the Pistons need some more big guys, and this is a great player for them to pick. A scary pick and roll partner for anybody on this Pistons roster. Picking 8th in the draft is the New Orleans Pelicans. I have them taking Dyson Daniels, the 6'7" guard out of the G League Ignite. He's an amazing playmaker. The only question about his game is his shooting stroke. However, he's a plus defender, so I think he's a really good player to help the Pelicans make a deep playoff push next season. And by the end of the year, I think he's going to have a shooting stroke figured out, and he's going to be a very good plus player in the playoffs for the Pelicans. Next up, we have the Spurs picking 9th overall, and with this pick, I have them taking Jeremy Sochan, the forward out of Baylor. With Jalen Duren off the board, who I believe is their number 1 prospect on their draft board, I think the next best guy for them is Jeremy Sochan. He provides the size and he provides amazing defense for this team. They already have a lot of guards and a lot of wings, so I think Jeremy Sochan at the 4 is just a great pick for them. The Washington Wizards are up with the 10th pick of the draft, and I have them taking Johnny Davis out of Wisconsin. He's the next best combo guard past Dyson Daniels, so he should be the first guy on the board for the Wizards here. He's a great scorer in isolation, and he can also do well off the ball. He's a great defender, and he doesn't have the size and the playmaking abilities that Dyson Daniels has, but he's not small by any means, and he's not a bad playmaker either. He's a great pick here for the Wizards, and he's kind of a really good substitute for Dyson Daniels in this situation. The Knicks are up with pick 11, and I have them taking Ben Mathurin out of Arizona. Ben Mathurin provides size, he provides shooting, and he provides athletic finishing around the rim. A lot of things that the Knicks don't really have outside of RJ Barrett. Ben Mathurin's going to be a great backup for RJ Barrett right away off the bench, and he's going to be a plus player in the Knicks, hoping that they can make a playoff push. His shooting, and his athleticism, and his defensive potential are 3 great factors in Ben Mathurin as a player, and he's going to help out the Knicks a lot this season. The Kings are up at 12 thanks to their earlier trade with Oklahoma City. With the 12th overall pick, I have the Kings taking AJ Griffin, the best 3-and-D wing available right now. And that's kind of what it is. He's an amazing role player with potential to become even more than just that, but his floor is pretty high in my opinion with a really good shooting stroke and a solid defensive ability and frame. He's going to be a great plus player here for Sacramento in their hopes of making a playoff push. Up at pick 13 are the Charlotte Hornets, and I have them taking center Mark Williams out of Duke. He's a 7'2" height with a 9'9" standing reach. That's almost touching the rim by just standing on the ground. He swallows up almost every shot near him. He's a great athletic finisher, and he's a great rebounder around the rim. He's a great pick and roll partner for LaMelo Ball, and his showings at the NCAA tournament showed us exactly what he's made of. He has the value to get picked here at 13, and he's going to get picked here at 13 by the Hornets. Even though they have pick 15, they pick him here to be safe in case a team tries to trade up to pick 14 to grab him before they can at 15. So a good pick here at 13 for Charlotte. The Cavs are up at pick 14, and with the disappointing end of the season, they're going to want a guy that can help them win now. I have them taking Malaki Branham out of Ohio State. He may be a freshman, but he has win-now qualities. He's a good defender, and he has good spot-up shooting. He has potential to become even more than that later down the line to help them build on what they have now, because their core is still fairly young, so Branham can really help them in the future. He's a good pick for now, and a good pick to develop for later on. He's a great player here for Cleveland. The Hornets are up again at 15, and with the 15th overall pick, I have them taking Tari Eason out of LSU. He's tall, he can defend, and he can shoot. Those are 3 main qualities that the Hornets need right now, and is going to work out really well here in Charlotte. He's a great player for them, going to work well around LaMelo, and he's going to defend really well on the other side of the ball, which they need. We have our blockbuster trade of the night coming up here. We have Atlanta getting Rudy Gobert and Mike Conley in return for John Collins, Clint Capella, Bogdan Bogdanovic, the 16th overall pick, and Charlotte's pick next year. This is a great trade for both sides, as the value is too much to pass up on here for Utah, as they get John Collins and Clint Capella, as well as a good spot-up shooter in Bogdan Bogdanovic, and then extra draft capital, while Atlanta gets an amazing starting center in Rudy Gobert, and a great backup point guard for Trae Young in Mike Conley. This trade works amazingly well for both sides, and with a 16th overall pick, we have the Utah Jazz taking Atl-Tyty Washington out of Kentucky. He's a guard, and they just traded away their best guard in Mike Conley. He's going to be a good fit in that backup backcourt because they're going to have to try and trade or sign a new starting point guard to fill in the Mike Conley role. I don't think Atl-Tyty Washington's just ready for that on a team that's looking to win now still. So it's still a good pick to back up whoever that next point guard is for Utah. The Rockets are up again here at pick 17, and I have them taking Ousmane Dieng, the tall forward out of the New Zealand Breakers in the NBL. Ousmane is oozing in potential. See what I did there? He has a bad shooting stroke, but he's really improving in the last part of the season. He improved his shooting percentages immensely and shot over 40% from 3 in the last stretch of games. He has potential to become one of the best players in this draft class because of his length and versatility, his ability to handle the ball, play make, defend, and he has potential to become a good shooter. He's just a great player here for the Rockets, who have a developing team who have nothing else to do but draft more developing players. So it's a good pickup here at 17, amazing value for the Rockets. Up at 18 are the Chicago Bulls, and I have them taking Ochai Agbaji out of Kansas. The combination of shooting, athleticism, defense, and experience are perfect for a team that's looking to win now, so it's a great pick here for the Bulls, especially at 18 to get a guy like Agbaji, who had lottery talks earlier this year. Up next are the Timberwolves at 19, and they're going to take Nikola Jović, the guard/forward out of Serbia. The playmaking abilities on this 6'10 guard are just nothing like any other player in this class. What he does, shooting and playmaking, are just things that the Timberwolves don't really have at that size. So it's good versatility to have on an already very complete roster. Just needs to get some more experience, and they'll be a really good team next year, and adding another player like Nikola Jović to their potential is just good for the Timberwolves. The Spurs are up again at pick 20, and I have them taking Jaden Hardy out of the Ignite. Jaden Hardy has offensive upside like almost no other player has at this spot in the draft. The Spurs have plenty guards, but none that are offensive-minded like Jaden Hardy. Jaden Hardy provides offensive potential that no other player in the organization has, which is why he's a good pick at here for 20. We have another trade to announce. Utah is going to get Monte Morris, Zeke Naji, and the 21st overall pick in return for Jordan Clarkson. Denver gets Jordan Clarkson, who's going to be one of Nikola Jokic's best targets that he's ever had, and Monte Morris is going to become the new starting point guard for Utah. I alluded to this earlier in the recent trade for Rudy Gobert and Mike Conley, and they're also going to get some draft capital and a player who's young with some okay potential in Zeke Naji. With this 21st overall pick, Utah is going to select Ismael Kamagate, the center out of Paris, France. He has good finishing around the rim, good shot blocking, and good rebounding, and he's from Paris, France. So maybe he can become like Rudy Gobert in the future, with that potential to carve out a very similar role that Rudy Gobert did in his time in Utah. So a good pick here at 21 for the Jazz. The Grizzlies are up at 22, and I have them taking the best player available, Jalen Williams out of Santa Clara. Jalen Williams has a really good frame, 6'7" with long arms, and is a good playmaker and a good shooter and a plus defender. He's just a great win-now player for Memphis, and he's almost the perfect guy here at 22. He's honestly in the top 15 on a lot of draft boards, so a very good steal here for Memphis at 22. We have a final trade to announce. The Indiana Pacers are trading away Buddy Hield and the 31st overall pick in exchange for Denny Green, Furkan Korkmaz, Matisse Thybulle, and the 23rd overall pick. Indiana gets to move up 8 spots with their second round pick up to the first round slot of the 23rd pick. They're going to get a good player to go around Tyrese Halliburton and Furkan Korkmaz and an all-defensive guy in Matisse Thybulle, while Philadelphia is going to receive Buddy Hield, a phenomenal shooter, and some more draft capital with the 31st overall pick. With this 23rd overall pick, I have the Indiana Pacers selecting Bryce McGowens out of Nebraska. He's a 6'7" guard who has playmaking potential with a good shooting stroke and amazing defensive frame. A great player to go around Tyrese Halliburton and a good player to help upstart this new rebuild in Indiana. Good value here at 23 for them for sure. Up next are the Bucks at pick 24. I had them taking Dalen Terry out of Arizona. Though he is a freshman, he once again has some win-now qualities with a very good 3-and-D potential and a good frame for defense. He can learn a lot behind Drew Holiday, and he's going to be a good player in the future for the Bucks, as they have a young core right now with Giannis and Grayson Allen and other guys like Chris Middleton, who has plenty of years left. This team has a lot more potential to win some more championships in the future, and Dalen Terry could be an amazing role player for them in the future. Up again with their third pick of the draft, I have the Spurs taking Walker Kessler, 25th overall, the center out of Auburn. He's a shot blocking machine and he fills a need for the Spurs, as they desperately need a backup big man. He's a great fit for the Spurs, and he's going to work well behind Jakob Poeltl, filling in for the minutes that he doesn't play. A great pick with good value at 25, if you ask me. Due to the recent Christian Wood trade, the Rockets are up again here at 26, and I have them taking Kennedy Chandler, the point guard out of Tennessee. The Rockets are in need of a true point guard, as KPJ isn't necessarily that. He's been a turnover machine with getting very few assists to go with those turnovers. Kennedy Chandler can help fill a role that they don't have in Houston. Up now are the Miami Heat at pick 27, and I have them taking Kendall Brown out of Baylor. He just screams Heat to me, the way he plays super gritty with a lot of energy. Though he's not the greatest shooter and he doesn't have a lot of offensive upside, he's a plus defender and he's a great finisher around the rim. He's a good player for Miami and is a good player for winning games next season. Up next are the NBA champion Golden State Warriors at pick 28. I have them taking Jake LaRivia, the wing out of Wake Forest. You can never have enough 3-and-D wings on a championship roster, and really Jake LaRivia is just that. He provides some wing depth for the Warriors, and he can help them in the regular season if they have injury problems. A good pick at 28. Up again are the Memphis Grizzlies at pick 29, and I have them taking E.J. Liddell out of Ohio State. E.J. Liddell is an amazing value player at this spot because I was considering him going at 22 to the Grizzlies earlier, but he fell all the way down to 29, and he's a good shot blocker and a good scorer on the offensive side. They did it with Desmond Bane a few years ago. Can do it again with E.J. Liddell? Up next are the Denver Nuggets, and thanks to their trade with OKC, they had the 30th overall pick. And with this pick, I had them taking MarJon Beauchamp, the 3-and-D wing out of the G League Ignite. He's a great value pick here because he has amazing 3-and-D potential, and just winning players are 3-and-D players. Off the bench, anywhere. He's going to help this team out next season, whether it's the regular season or the playoffs. He's going to be a good player for them. Here are all the players drafted in the second round. Thank you so much for watching. This took a lot of time and effort to make all these trades and this mock draft, so if you stuck to the end, I have my best wishes to you, and I hope that you have an amazing rest of your life, everybody. Thank you.